Hi, and welcome to our very first episode of Grief, Guts, and Grace. I'm Dian, and this is my co host Zider, and we are so honored to be in your presence. Grief, Guts, and Grace is a place where we explore the raw realities of loss, the courage it takes to keep going, and the quiet, powerful moments of grace that show up along the way.
Each week, we'll be sharing deeply personal stories and reflections, all with the hope of making you feel a little less alone. If you're grieving, if you've ever felt broken open by life, or if you're just seeking honest conversations about what it means to be human, you're in the right place. So, again, welcome. We hope you stay.
Just a disclaimer, we do live on the Cape Flats, and the introduction is really the only part of this that was rehearsed. Everything else is going to be completely raw content and, like Zaida said, open conversation. So you will hear the occasional car zooming by and dog barking in the background, and we are very aware of it. But please bear with us, and we hope you enjoy this podcast with us.
Okay, so I wish that grief was linear. Grief is messy, unpredictable, and deeply personal. Whether you're in the early days or years into your journey, your grief is valid. Everyone grieves differently. Although we both lost our spouses, we lost them in different ways. We experience the grieving process very differently. And what you will come to learn about us is our support structures is different. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. And my way is not the right way, and hers is neither the right way because there is no right way. We, at this point, just winging it. Um, So we thought it would be good kick-off point to give you insight into our very first journal or entries. As I said, this is deeply personal, and our only hope is to be open and honest about our experiences so that light can be shed on the true realities we've experienced, and so that we can put an end to some of the misconceptions, stereotypes, and biases and prejudice about being a young widow or just a widow in general or a widower or just losing your person, which isn't always recognized by society. So I'll start since I'm like a bit longer into the journey. My journey of widowhood started on the 24th of December 2021, where my spouse Ryan just didn't wake up one morning, only to discover, I mean, weeks later, that it was a heart attack. But that's just like a brief idea of what happened in my life. So this year it will be coming on 4 years. And the journal entry that I'll read, because when your spouse or someone dies, everyone is quick to say, write it down. They buy you. I mean, I probably had about 5 journals, um, not even a week later, with people saying how good it is to write. But what people don't understand is it's actually very hard to have to sit in that moment needing to write it down. So I wasn't bullied into it, but on the 9th of January 2022, I decided, okay, right, let's try it. I had a lot of thoughts going through my brain. And at this point, you have nothing to lose, so why not put pen to paper? Sorry. So my first entry was on the 9th. Ryan's funeral was on the 3rd of Jan. And I think a few days after he died, we decided to go away just to, get out and escape the noise of being in the house, all of that. So this is how mine goes. Today is a tough one. We come back from holiday without you and it was bittersweet. The girls were good. They enjoyed themselves, but yet we all knew it was so different. Driving driving home was also knowing that you won't be here was terrible. My feelings today is just that I wish you were still here, and I think I'm realizing that this is my reality. What am I going to do without you? Why haven't you come to visit me? I feel as if you know me so well, and I that you that I need to know or feel that you are fine. I'm sad that we won't be able to do our plans together, but know you will guide me, protect all of us. I'm not ready for this. As stubborn as I think I am, I always needed you. I will always love you, Fortune. And that was the first entry. And then a few weeks later, we decide, okay, let's try this again. So I'll just do one more day. And this was the day after my birthday, which was the 24th of Jan, 2022. And I say, today is tough. I don't know how to feel. I was sad and cried this morning, but now mad, sad. Want to cry, but it won't come out. I'm just waiting for you to come home. And then I have to remind myself that you're not coming. I need to look at your picture. So this was like early days. This is a month later after you had died, after he had died. And like the reality that he was gone, I can honestly say only came to like 2 years later. That, oh my word, okay, this is for real, it's my life. What I know now is a whole lot different, when it just happened. Um, because if I think then, there's still times I feel like this. There's still times I feel like this after a period, and then some people say, yeah, it's almost 4 years, you should be past a certain point. Um, but there's still days I tell you all the time, I need to cry, or it's sitting here, but it just don't come out. And like people don't understand that part about it. Like we always want to cry, or it's always sitting in your throat. Like you always feel like you have a knob in your throat. And especially in the early days, and because I don't like crying in front of people, I used to cry. I used to wake up like past 4 every morning, the time he died. And that would be my, make me coffee, I go sit there quiet time, and then I'll cry. But is it like in your tummy cry? No. But because that's actually what you want to feel. Because then it's almost like you're doing it right. Like the movie is telling you you're supposed to cry in the shower, on your knees. And mine just wasn't coming out like that. But yeah, so that's my first few entries of journaling. But I mean, since then, journaling became part of my life. And it's almost part of my night routine. It helps quiet my brain, especially on days it's crazy. I mean, you know that. I'll tell you, I need to journal, I need to get this out. But it's also not for everybody.
100%. Um, so, like Zider saying, she started very early into her process with journaling. I was not as good with journaling, or I didn't. I think for many reasons it was different for me. I actually just couldn't quiet my mind long enough to sit down and put pen to paper. Um, and when my husband got his diagnosis, I was 2 weeks into my recovery from a major surgery that required like 6 weeks of recovery. But immediately after that, after his diagnosis, life just became about him, and I'm not angry about it. It may sound, but it literally just became about Sergio and getting Sergio better, and finding all the right help. And when he got his diagnosis, like I say, it was in August, and the oncologist at the time said, the life expectancy is about 5 years on treatment, and that it's a very rare form of lymphoma. So he had an extranodal lymphoma. Um, and lymphoma typically grows inside of the lymph nodes. His was growing inside of his nose. And yeah, it was just very much touch and go. There wasn't time to think, there wasn't time to process, there wasn't time to journal. I wasn't even remembering dates. Everything just blurred into one. And 6 months after his diagnosis, he passed away. It was in stage 1 when they found the cancer, but because of the nature of that specific cancer, it just behaves abnormally, and so it bounced around from one organ to the other. And by the time he passed away, he had lost his vision, and there was a good few other issues and complications, and we sort of kept the kids we kept all this information away from the kids, just because we were so hopeful. We thought that stage 1, they were optimistic that they would be able to get everything, and like extend his life and whatever. And we also didn't want the children to know that they had this limited time with him. Nonetheless, I digress. Um, as the weeks go on and we delve deeper into our loss, you'll get little snippets of just the realities that we had been dealing with, um, and to give you an idea into what my brain was looking like, I'm gonna read my journal entry. Um, so the first time I ever wrote, this was what I wrote, and it was true to me at the time. Some of the things are still very true, and some of the things I've worked through. I hate how people romanticize death, more specifically, the loss of my spouse. Yes, there can be beauty in everything, and if you ask Zider, she'll tell you that I'm the queen of silver linings and fluff. I always see the good in everything, but it takes a bit of reflection to find that beauty, especially in a bad situation. So my journal entry goes as follows: the loss of a spouse, the loss of my spouse, my other half, my best friend, the keeper of my heart and my secrets, the man I shared my life with, the man who was with me when I birthed our children, the man who saw me at my worst and absolute best, the one who cooked for me, the one who helped me physically, financially, emotionally, and mentally, my challenger, my cheerleader, my crit, the one I asked, does this outfit look okay? The one who rubbed the Vicks on my back and my chest, the one I screamed at and with, my biggest irritant, who I could irritate fully knowing that he would never leave me, the one who held me, the one whose snores I could not sleep through, but the snoring is the sound that I miss the most. The one who met me with a cup of tea when I got home from a busy work day, the one who drove our family around, the one who made the best braai and pasta pochi, the one who I could convince to try something new with me, the one who supported my tattoo addiction even though he didn't have a single one except the semicolon he got just to see what the hype was about. And it was on his wrist, it was really small. He thought he was going to die that day. Subsequently, he died after. Nonetheless, the one who loved pulling pranks and hated being pranked, the one my children called daddy, not because he was their father, but because he was their daddy. He was the daddy that made our children laugh. He was the daddy that was the life of the home and every party. He brought life into every space he entered. He was the daddy who played soccer and was overweight. He was the daddy who sang while playing his guitar. He was the gamer daddy who argued with the kids for his turn to play. He was the daddy who they never dared challenge because he earned their respect. He was the daddy that doctored them when they were sick and was at the hospital for every procedure. He worked hard and showed them the importance of working for what they want. He was the daddy that cried when he got his diagnosis and was told,
You got this, girl. You got this.
Phew,
Breathe.
this is the part where they loop in let's take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna bite through it.
Yes, girl.
If I can just clear my eyes because I can't see with tears in them. I really can't see anyway. Wow. I just hate this item. I'm not gonna cry today.
Also,
I'm
I'm
too
the bed.
anxious.
I'm just saying I'm on the bed.
We're in the bed. Whoever cries first will buy another one coffee. I guess
So
it's my
I
treat.
won. I won.
Anyways. Whew. He was the daddy that cried when he got his diagnosis and was told he would potentially have 5 years to live because it meant that he would miss out on his children's lives. And he was the daddy that only got 6 months instead of 5 years. The kids and I are now the ones that have to dig deep through all of it to find the beauty every day. I have to dig past the financial implications of my spouse who passed away, leaving me to maintain what we built together. This was never meant to be a one-person game. Joint choices have now become my sole responsibility. I have to dig deep for the beauty in hearing my children crying uncontrollably for their daddy. I have to dig deep to find the beauty in not being able to soothe their need to see their dad. And I have to dig deep to find the strength to not break down and just long enough to comfort them and calm them. I have to find my word. I have to find the words to encourage them while I feel hopeless, alone, and useless. I have to dig deep to find remedies that do not include "let's give Daddy a call," "you'll see him later," or "let's go visit Daddy." I have to dig deep for the beauty when I'm curled up in a ball, ugly crying on mute so that I don't upset my children again. When I'm struggling financially, I have to remind myself that we didn't get the 5 years to prepare and to plan for the next phase of life, and that we only got 6 months, which was spent going back and forth to hospital. I have to accept that the beauty in my failures is that I kept trying and that my kids and I still have a roof over our heads and food on the table. I have to dig deep to hold back the hurt that wants to escape my body through a nightmarish scream every time I look at my husband's pictures or hear his voice on videos and voice notes. The memories don't make me feel like he's still around. It reminds me that he's gone forever. I have to dig deep every time we reach a timeline that is significant, either because it's a birthday or anniversary or something that we planned to achieve in the future. When Sergio died, our future died. Not the kids' future, and not my future, because I'm still alive, they're still alive, but a collective future. A future that we planned for, a future that we hoped for, dreams and aspirations that we had as a family. I think I'm going to stop reading the journal entry there because it's very long. But to give you an idea of when I wrote this, I'm just gonna see where it says that part about where it is. Yeah. So just gonna skip to the end of that journal entry. I still have unresolved trauma from the experience of extranodal lymphoma. It's been a year and 2 months since his passing.
Okay, so that was me doing a journal entry less than a month after Ryan died. And this is a year and 2 months worth of journaling because that is when Dorian decided, okay, let's try this. So it's a lot. It's a lot. You'll see how different we both write in our journals. She's clearly the writer, the creative one. I'm the poof puff Clara. So that's the beauty of it because we're different. And I say like the weird part is the two of us have known each other or have known of each other for probably about 15 years. Ryan and Sergio had played poker together and done stuff, but we have never interacted at any function or anything. She stays opposite to my mommy. I'd greet her, or we wouldn't greet because we just had this thing
We
that
didn't even look up at
we
each
didn't
other.
look up at each other.
We're just
So
not that kind of people.
this journey has brought us together. Ryan dies unexpectedly. In that time, Sergio's already diagnosed with his cancer, and so we feel for each other, but I mean, we're not friends at this point. So what they had gone through, I know some of it, but I mean, we weren't even like we are now. Then Ryan dies, and she obviously feels for me. Then Sergio dies 2 months later.
So it was
Yeah.
Ryan died December and Sergio died February.
Yeah, like 2 months later, Sergio dies, and I reach out to her initially because I know what it's like, and she messages me back. And I mean, I'm sure we have texts, or I probably still have that.
No, you don't, because we deleted all.
So anyway, so I reach out to her as a young widow to another fellow young widow. But it was now obviously initially condolences.
And
that.
because our kids were doing hip hop.
Yes, they were doing dance
They would
together.
dance together, and so we would often find each other in the parking area when we drop the girls off.
Yes.
And then we stayed out for a bit, chat for a little bit, and just like sort of touch base. But it was very superficial. It was very surface level at first, because it was more of like, hey, how are you doing?
Yes.
She would say, oh, that's, she doesn't like that question.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I know, and I'm sorry that I'm asking you. But if it helps, I often just answer with, I don't know how I'm doing, I'm just doing.
Yeah.
And that at that point, and even today, it just has to be enough, because there isn't time. There isn't time to process things the way we should. And the world is a very cruel place. It doesn't wait for you to get better, for it to move on. You find yourself having to talk to attorneys. You're filling out forms all the time. Your kids are moving on to the next grade, so like things are happening all the time. My daughter, the middle child, started high school this year as well. So last year I was busy trying to figure out high school applications and so on. And there's just always something. So there's like school concerts, and then the dance concerts, and so there's things, or this one gets sick, and that one's
something
fallen and gotten hurt at school, and
there's always something,
and then you riddled with guilt all the time, because you spend a lot of time away from work, and like just being normal, and you do start to feel guilty about those things. So you hate the fact, and you become angry at how life is just it just keeps on moving, but you didn't even get a chance to catch your breath. I'm still very angry about how things panned out, and I'm very disappointed, and
but we'll get there.
But yeah, you get there. It doesn't say when. I just know within my spirit, and because Zider believes in me, and she knows that I'm gonna get there, I believe her, and I trust her. So if she says I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna get there.
I think it's
also just push myself. But it's the same with me.
From someone who hasn't been in the experience.
Yeah, so whatever like delusions you have, I still back you. And even like when you're breaking yourself, when you're breaking yourself down, I'm the first one to say,
yes,
come down, and we lift one another up, right? And even sometimes we can joke about it, and she'll say, I feel so hopeless today, and I say, because you are.
Like we have to.
So we just joke with each other.
We are seriously sad and happy in the same moment, because we understand that concept of coexisting. Joy and grief and sadness and happiness coexist all the time. I mean, we'll see each other, or we'll be on a video call, and she'll be like, I'm so heavy, I'm feeling very heavy, and then I'll sing something, and we still feel heavy. That's the thing. It's just that we feel heavy, and it's easy to tell someone, like I'll say, today my breathing, I can feel my breathing, because what people don't understand is the physical stuff that comes with
shallow breaths.
Yes, so like I can say, my breathing's a little shallow. And because she gets it, I think that's why we get each other at the because this is a lot. It's like people don't tell you how overwhelming it is. And why should they? Because we know that grief in itself is already a taboo subject. Then you're still young and grieving and losing your person. And what we've come to realize is we aren't the only ones. But why isn't it out there? I think that's the biggest thing, and that is also how we came to. We need to do something about it. We need to reach out to more people like us. So here we are putting ourselves out there. Hopefully, this can help one person know that they are.
And I also think like it's not necessarily taboo. I think like grieving in many cultures, when you're grieving, you become you have to be isolated from society, and we're all just a mixed pot of different cultures, and some cultures feed into the other, right? So where traditionally women would be removed from their community or their society so that they can go and grieve by themselves in a house, and they're not allowed to wear certain colors, and not allowed to eat certain foods and whatever. And that just became so embedded in us, even though it wasn't said to me or Zider. It might have been said to someone else in their culture or their background. it's not been said to us, but there's this thing, like
Yeah.
you just naturally assume the position of goodness.
Yes.
You just naturally become this person that,
That's true.
you know, when people isolate you, you accept it. And then you start to isolate yourself. Even.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and to some degree, we have kind of isolated ourselves from others, and
Yes.
we've attached ourselves to one another
Yes.
because we built a new community, and yes,
Yes.
this community just like consists of me and Zider.
It's a community.
At the moment, we do let other people in,
Yes.
you know.
Not too deep, but they allowed in to
They're
say
allowed
hi.
in, and also like, just that fear of being hurt and not being able to process more negative emotions. It sort of feels better to just, you know, be on
Yes.
the outside of all the
Yes.
bullshit that goes around in the world.
Yeah.
But
True.
I mean, we'd really like for you guys to come back and stick around and listen to some of the other conversations. We try to not make this too structured. Like, we really just want to have like an open discussion about stuff.
Yes.
And not be so, you know, rigid, because that's the other thing. We realized we hate being fit into a box. We don't want to fit into a
We
box.
actually don't fit into a box.
We don't. We fall into many boxes. We don't fit. Sometimes we squeeze in there and like hanging out. You know, we don't necessarily fit, but we like to check out different boxes. So, yeah, if you're expecting like a professional podcast where people are just like, you know, professionally talking and doing interviews, very structured and very organized, that's not what you're
Not
gonna
us.
find. Yeah.
Although we are very organized people and
In life,
routinely
because we have
and
to.
that.
But that's why we don't want to be so
Yes.
organized, because we already have that box.
Yes.
We're just, you know, figuring out other things at the moment.
Also, thank you for watching our sneak peek or our preview or our watch this space. We really appreciate the support from the people, and if you'd like to send us a comment or send us a question, or we're always open to things that you'd maybe be interested in learning, you know, like how was our experience in dealing with whatever. So if you would like, you know, we open to questions.
And
That's
don't
why
feel
we're
like
here.
that, like there's a stupid question or an irrelevant question. Like, if you have yourself experienced any kind of loss, whether it be through a divorce, whether it be through a death,
Child
and,
loss.
you know, a loss of a child, or just whatever life traumas you're faced with, and you maybe just need a different perspective on it. Apart from being widows, we're just normal women from the
Yes.
flats who are also mothers.
Yes.
And I'm a student. I'm studying law. Side as a student.
Yeah,
she's
me
studying.
too.
She's
That was
studying
the
finance.
madness. That was
So-
the madness we decided after our spouses
Yeah,
died
like
that we.
not even a year. The same. Yeah.
No, mine was a year, but it was thinking I need to study, but
Well,
I need to do something.
Yeah. So I'm second year. So
Yes.
last year I registered.
Yes.
So
So
there's
besides
lots of
being busy, we
craziness.
decided we're going to study as well because we
Yeah.
needed to add more to the craziness. I mean, let's
No.
just add more.
I think we just needed distractions from
Yes.
what life
Yes.
looked like, and we needed a preview of what life could be
Yes.
looking like. I don't.
But
okay,
anyway,
none of
we'll
us actually
get
know.
into that.
But we'll get into
we'll-
all of those things, and like Zider said, please feel free, post a question, post a comment, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we're working on TikTok. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We got Instagram, YouTube. That's the timer.
Yeah.
We're doing
We're
well for
actually
time.
doing well.
We're doing well for time, but yeah,
So
just
follow us on
follow
all
us
those
on all of the
platforms.
platforms. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be posting
And
here
like and
once
share.
a week. Once a
Hmm.
week we're going to be posting here, but we are going to put up some like cool reels and hopefully inspirational reels, and sometimes there'll be sad reels, and sometimes you'll see us crying on our reels. So we're going to post like a whole lot of stuff, and it's all just in the hope of making everybody just feel less alone, less isolated, less restricted, less boxed in. Come with us on this journey.
So in our grief, we are doing the things with guts and we're doing it through grace. So let's talk about that next time.
Yeah. All the time.
All the time,
All
actually.
the time. Like that's why I said it's
But,
not
you-
structured. We can talk grief, grace, guts, everything into one. If you want to add another word to it, we won't actually change our name.
Yeah,
Like,
but
we can talk about all
we
those
can
things.
talk about it. So thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And
It was good. It
And
feels like
it
a dream right now.
Yes.